First of all, I wanted to thank you for organizing such a professional and interesting conference and invite you to some cooperation, which at the end I want to mention about. First of all, I'd like to present youth unemployment situation in Poland. The aim of my presentation is to get insight into the youth problems in the labor market and to show the most important tools applied by the policy and academic spheres to combat inequalities in the labor market in Poland. The main reason behind high Polish unemployment rate is low labor demand. The inequalities in the youth unemployment rate can be balanced with educational and financial support for entrepreneurship. And this is actually what our policymakers and academics try to do. And today I'd like to get some insight into this problem. Taking these statements under consideration, I'd like to dedicate my presentation to answering for three following questions. First of all, I'd like to tell what does it mean employability of youth and what does it depend on. Secondly, I want to tell how Polish political and academic sphere cope with the implementation of the youth employability process. And finally, I'd like to tell how to combat youth unemployment in Poland through entrepreneurship. I'd like to start from the presentation of some interesting model of employability, which I believe can be helpful in understanding how to avoid youth unemployment, not only in Poland, but probably anywhere. When I've been looking for descriptions of employability and its determinants, I found several definitions of employability, but one seemed to me the most interesting and comprehensive. And it comes from the Career Edge model with my own improvements. According to the model, employability is a situation of having a set of skills, knowledge, understanding, and personal attributes which make a person more likely to choose and secure occupations in which they can be the most successful and satisfied. Employability depends also on the state of the economy. It depends more precisely on the situation in the labor market, and it also depends on socio-economic factors, such as reputation of higher education institutions, or more broadly speaking, educational institutions. 5 elements lie in the foundation of employability. That is career development learning, experience, both work experience and life experience, degree subject knowledge, skills and understanding, generic skills, and emotional intelligence. Youth at all levels of education need to be engaged with and be supported by schools, teachers, parents to develop these 5 elements lying in the foundation of the employability. Moreover, they should be given opportunities to reflect on them and be evaluated in order to reach their full employability potential. How political and academic spheres in Poland cope with the implementation of this employability model? I believe not the worst, however, could be much better. The results of youth unemployment rate shows that Polish youth with 26% of unemployment rate suffers much less than their colleagues in Greece, Spain, or Croatia, where unemployment rate exceeds 50%. And this is what we already mentioned about. Currently, and this is the situation for September 2013, currently situation of youth is also slightly better than those living in Hungary or in Slovakia. But generally speaking, in our region, in Central European countries, situation is more or less the same in respect to the youth unemployment. I told that situation of Poles, young Poles, is not very bad, but it could be better. And I mean especially situation in Germany or Austria, where unemployed people between 16 and 24 years old are below 10%. That's impressive. In terms of long-term trend in respect to the youth unemployment, I'd like to mention that Polish entered 21st century with a very high unemployment rate, especially between young people. It was around 38%, and it doubled the EU average. In the consecutive years, it was even worse. In years 2002, 2004, unemployment rate of youth reached its peak with 44%. And afterwards, it started to decline, reaching bottom of the trend in 2008 with 17% of youth unemployment rate. It was the minimum in the recent years. And besides avoiding recession in Poland, unemployment rate growth since 2008 and currently is at the level of 26%. Unemployment is especially high among those with basic education and vocational education. On the other side are university graduates with the lowest unemployment rate. Nevertheless, since 2008, the unemployment rate of university graduates has increased steadily, and it's currently we observe the same trend, that it's grows. As already mentioned, the most severe problem in the youth labor market in Poland is low labor demand. Since 2007, Polish policymakers and academics make strong or has made strong attempt to encourage financially and educationally young people to develop entrepreneurial skills and to launch their own businesses. The main idea behind this approach is not only to give them opportunity to pursue own dreams or to provide with income and professional development, but also promotion of self-employment, creation of workplaces, and solving, at least partly, problem of low labor demand. Being aware of high importance of entrepreneurship in Poland for tackling unemployment between youth, I made some systematic literature review on the most important articles in this area to get deeper insight into the problem and to analyze how we in Poland cope with unemployment through entrepreneurship. While doing the literature review, I found several very interesting research results. For example, that the creation of a new firm in society is more widespread than creation of a new household or baby born in society. That those with full or part-time job are more likely to start their own businesses than those who are retired, housewives, or students, or unemployed. And it also turned out that women are more likely to start their own solo businesses, while men usually worked in team. When they launch the business, they usually prefer doing so in team. That was pretty surprising for me. We already heard several times about entrepreneurship today. I want to define entrepreneurship since probably everybody keeps something different in mind while talking about entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is defined in the literature, at least in those sources which I found the most comprehensive, as the ability to discover, select, process, interpret, and use necessary data in uncertain world in order to exploit market opportunities. This exploration of market opportunities seems to me the key. It means that entrepreneurship is not only business launching, but it's also launching new projects or execution of ideas which have market values. The main factors affecting entrepreneurial ability are certain personal characteristics, especially creativity, imagination, degree of risk aversion, or alertness was emphasized. Important are competences. competences which are acquired or were acquired through formal education or in the job experience. And also very important is tacit knowledge. That is knowledge which was embedded in the life environment. Then what could be the most important factors in boosting entrepreneurship in Poland? And if academics and policymakers respond to this? Based on the literature review, I concluded that many believe the most important in boosting entrepreneurship is money. That's common belief. Others pointed out culture or incubation of resources or support in generating ideas. Contrary to all these beliefs, it turned out that neither cultural nor financial resources are the most important, but that potential entrepreneurs gain the most if they possess high level of human capital. More specifically, advanced education and managerial experience. But since managerial experience is usually out of touch for very young people, advanced education is still within their reach. Then they can support their entrepreneurial ability through advanced education. That's the first factor supporting entrepreneurship. Why advanced education? First of all, because it helps to develop certain skills. Skills which can be important for entrepreneur, such as creativity, teamwork, critical thinking. And there is no, students don't need to attend business schools to develop these skills. Secondly, advanced education provides with an access to certain social networks. Many students point out that this is the most important benefit for them from education. Thirdly, advanced education serves as a positive signal for nascent entrepreneurs when evaluated by resource providers, for example, business angels or venture capitalists. And finally, it sorts people by ambition and assertiveness. Then how Poland look like from this perspective? I believe pretty impressive. 50% of young people participate in higher education in Poland. That's one of the highest achievements in Europe. Then we have a potential which can be applied. That was the first factor, advanced education. The second factor playing a role in supporting, in boosting entrepreneurship is entrepreneurial program. Especially if includes inspirational part. Surely knowledge and resources could increase likelihood of launching own businesses by students, but it turned out that this is the inspiration which plays the decisive role in making steps towards launching own businesses by students. And it turned out that inspiration rises attitudes, intention, and increases the real chances for launching own businesses or launching own projects by the students. With respect to Polish situation, I'd like to emphasize that since 2007, policymakers and academics prepared plenty of programs supporting entrepreneurship. Especially between 2007 2013, we had programs such as Human Capital Operational Program, and one of the action 6, which was specially prescribed, 6.2, specially prescribed for young entrepreneurs. 500 million euro was allocated for this purpose, for launching own businesses, and mainly young people and those below 25 participated in this program. 6,500 new companies was launched thanks to this. And besides this Human Capital Operational Program, we have many other programs which in practice started already in 2002. That entrepreneurial programs truly play a role in boosting entrepreneurship. And the third factor, and the last which I want to talk about, is work experience. Work experience is important for nascent entrepreneurs because it gives an access to social networks, to the market information, and to the capital, and also to the potential customers. Many speakers today pointed out that lack of experience causes the main problem for youth in finding the first job. This is very much true, and the Polish response is to impose on students of the first, second, and the third level of education internship as a part of the curriculum. That all students have to take part in internships and get some experience in the labor market, with a hope that it can boost not only entrepreneurship, but also encourage employers to employ students. And I made some research on this issue, and it turned out that between 16 and 30% of students, at least in Poland, and in this group of students which I measured, found their first job in company which organized the internship. I think it's pretty interesting and encouraging also to take part in the internships. Summarizing. I mentioned that employability is a situation of having a set of skills, knowledge, and abilities, personal attributes, which make a person more likely to choose and secure occupations which person can be satisfied and successful. I mentioned that Polish labor market is not fully sufficient, and the main problem is low labor demand. And for this reason, as a solution responding to this problem, policymakers and academics prepared several various programs supporting entrepreneurship and launching own companies. And I told about 3 factors important for boosting youth entrepreneurship. And these factors the choice of the factors based on the serious literature review. To them belong advanced education, entrepreneurship programs, and work experience. Thank you very much for attention. I will be very glad to answer the questions.
Thank you, Agnieszka. It was exactly 50 minutes, your presentation, and thank you for sharing with us the Polish experiences, which I think is very, very important, very useful, practical information you give us. And now I would like to ask Feliciana to talk about her issue.
You were talking about that low labor demand, and I'm curious what do you mean by there are no jobs or no need for...
Low labor demand means that there is that demand for labor exceeds supply of labor. It means that much more people look for the job than workplaces are offered in the companies. Actually for several years we observed that much more workplaces disappear in terms of the whole economy, disappear from economy than is created. And this is what I mean by low labor demand. This proportion between supply and demand in the labor market.